Hello and welcome. The end of the 17th day of April is near for myself and has already passed for others as of the recording of this video. And well, that's just yada yada date kind of stuff. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. For myself, risk reward management is always job number one. And I guess we could say within this correctionary move, Litecoin is. I'm not going to say it's showing weakness on the lows because I like to say that when the market is more of a downward or downward neutral-ish kind of basis, and I'd have to say it's upward neutral. But it's staying this in an uptrend correctionary move from point A lows to point B highs, and it still hasn't came back or even close to the previous key Fibonacci level at 63 and change. According to Bitcoin, it's kind of showing the opposite on the 18. Instead of staying at the lows like Litecoin, it's staying at the highs. Enough of these bands are still up in an extremely rapid rate. With the action today, I mean, you talk about extreme low volatility. A high of 52.72, low 51.73, therefore about $100 or 2% for today. But a pause day and doing this amongst the 18 average, I mean, most certainly to me showing strength on the 18 highest as the pause from yesterday's gain is most certainly a nice thing to see as Bitcoin continues to hold on the 52.11 mark on the shorter term time frame single hour. I mean, sideways support has well been established, and it hasn't tested it for since it lifted off from the lows here. It may end up soon, but short-term support 51.80. Breaking down below that, I would be looking to this previous level near about 5,085, and of course resistance. I put that in about 52.46, all the way up to 52.74. Finishing off on the long term weekly, we had a pause week last week. Midweek so far is continuing with the pause that it had the previous week. 18 average just starting to move in its upward trend. Still has a long ways to go to meet up with it via that of where price action is at currently. And and therefore within it, it's already done stage two in establishing resistance. If it goes down or continues going sideways without breaking 54.40, well, that's what the high is. And technically, I'm looking at 54.66, so that's where established resistance is. But if it continues going higher, okay, oh, I see 57.14. Okay, that's where it is. And just because it's hit it, and now we're looking for stage three, come back to the band via price or time. That doesn't mean that's going to happen. It could be, oh, next thing you know, next day it's 71.75, then the next day it's 10,006. Those particulars, or week in this case, those particulars could easily be live when the market's looking like it does amongst the monthly term time frame. It's having its stage number three come back to the band. As a flat note in here, this is stage two. It's been established at $3,122. It has now entered the band. It's already pierced above the lows, the 18 average of lows. I'll put the statistics up. It comes in at 4,811 and 67 and 2/3 on the highs. And of course, the 67 coincides in the area of where the pierce above the Fibonacci level would come into play. And that's what it needs to get above to attempt to leave and resume the bull market. Um, is get above there because all that's going to do is the band will just flatten out. For it to start to rise, price action, of course, has to get above it. And in doing such, if all you have after a great move is one little leg lower, a few pause periods, and then breaking above back over, that's a very bullish situation to have, especially when all of these extra empty space areas were not even hit. Areas of like 1,400 and even 2,000 and so on. I was asked about Ethereum. I'll talk that as one of my requests. I'll do up to one a day for free. And what we're going to look at here, is it a good time to buy? I can never answer that question and give you a good answer because I don't know a situation. For some people, I could say, oh my goodness, it's a must buy. For some people, it's a must sell. It all depends on what you're looking to do, what your portfolio is. Every trade strategy is different. I could never answer it. And even situations within trade strategies, if I can't understand well what your strategy is, then most certainly I can't even come close to making calls by any means. As far as this on the daily chart, we've got the move from the 2018 lows that had a very good price increase before the year 2019, had come back down to a 61.8. But what has it done since then? It got above in here. It came close, and yes, establishing resistance, but it needs to correct on this line, which it did. But the pattern was continuously matching or lower highs every time, and the more often you test the level, the more likely it is you take it out. And when you have the spots where a big level is tested, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like all those times, and you break it, expect a fast move. Okay, this one didn't go to where I would thought it would. It was a pierce above this area. This can just be headaches and spots where I'm going to put a buy order in a hair above three. And I don't know what the exact numbers are because these are most certainly rounded numbers when I got point oh 0.03 and point oh 0.034 written in there, but most certainly the rounding would have been very close to the point where it was still noticeably above the 305 handle. But as it played out, resisting this level that was support, coming back down, now grinding and showing weakness amongst where it came from. And generally, if you have a match here and you have a pierce above like this, I'd be looking if it breaks below that, it could easily go to 279. And whether it does or it doesn't, for me, I'm not trading this. I don't really think I need to, it's a good coin, especially if you're putting two coins together. This one most certainly is. As long as you trade other coins that are very volatile, because this one definitely lacks it. So coins like Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, trading two coins together like that. I like trading them with that because these are coins that should be safe long term. They should be going up on the long term. And quite frankly, as far as where price action is concerned, very much in like a middling situation. Yes, it could go lower, but after this move, I would have to think going up towards this area again most certainly can come into play. And against the dollar, yeah, maybe I could put that chart up, but even if, say, this looks good against the dollar, if other coins look better, thus this would go down against other currencies, then technically I don't think it'd be that great of a buy. But I like the safeness to it, and the two coins together, this market, no matter what your level is, whether you're a small time or big time player, trading Ethereum means you can trade a lot very easy or buy a lot very easy with a good spread on many exchanges will give you good spreads. And again, you could do so with like just good prices. You get a whatever the fair price is at that time. You'll generally get where a lot of the altcoins, you really have to understand the altcoin book, the order books, and how you want to strategically get your buys and sells in. Because the when you got coins that are like 300 bid and 310 ask, 315 ask, that's a very big spread differential. Even coins like Doji that are 52 and 53 or something, that's still close to 2% on just the buy and the sell. So that's why coins like Ethereum offer you opportunities to make $50 trades or $50,000 trades very easily. And you can put them on hardware wallets as well. And let's next focus our attention on Komodo. All right, what do we see here? Hourly chart was at 20,000 Satoshi. Then it rallied quick on the single hour time frame to 2349. If we look at this, but before we go to the 15, we know for sure that we have two key levels of support. And I could put a line in right here. Resistance, it's lower highs for this is lower than this lower than that, this lower. Yes, there was a couple higher ones here, but this main one was lower than this, and then all of them since have been going lower. Descending triangle kind of formation, which we'll probably see more clearly amongst the 15-minute time frame. And there's the fast move again. Here you notice that you had the big move, it came back down. Was there any volume to indicate or anything? And then when you, what I like to do, if I'm just looking at a few candles, which is how I usually like to do it. Obviously, the market sentiment showing here was just a lot of indecision, no big players in the game, and noticeably decent sized volume for this in here, and that was a significant move. So if you happen to look at the situation here, now this volume in here, two 15-minute periods consecutive doing it. I think two. It's bigger than this volume here. This, you can see right off the bat, is the most serious volume this has had, going back to even 4 days ago, the last 4 days, and probably even more. So you had that happen over the 15, and then you want to even see, okay, over the 5, how does it spread out? But when you see it down like this, is this some sort of early indication of somebody knowing something? You have your first wave of sellers that come in because they buy it up so fast, and well, they don't leave buy orders. So a lot of times when there's big gains, one of my theories is, I'm not a big game player, so it's not like I play the game this way, is you buy up a market, and then what you do after doing something like this is you put orders in. So you plan, okay, I want to buy this much, so I'm going to start off by buying this much on the display here. Maybe you want to buy it to 21. And then what I want to do is I want to place buy orders at 2040, 2050, 2060, 2070, and then let the first sellers come to me. Because if I'm looking to buy it up to 21, I could continue going, making my average go up from like 2050 to whatever, 2070, 2080. Or I could buy it up with my average already at like, say, 2050 or whatever, and then maybe keep it at that average or lower it even. And thus let orders fill in. Because if I'm looking to buy more later, by doing something like this, having an early buy, filling in buy orders, and then waiting for askers, askers, askers to come to the market. Buyers, sellers, bidders. I guess you can call them sellers, but those that actually physically put sell orders in. So that now, when I put my buy orders in for 2040, 50, 60, that's what people are selling it down to. I want to see the 2084s, the 2100, the 2120s, the 2130s. I want them to get higher in supply, and that enables me to buy at the market without buying it up more. And this would reduce, as a large time player, what my dollar cost average is. But as we can see, when this thing came through, that if you bought at this level, it's worked out to be a phenomenal play, and the market thus far has been holding on to its gains. So we've had point A low, point B high. Either this holds and at some point later it's got to get above this key level. Really doesn't get going until it gets by the 2256 ish area, 2260, 22 and 2/3, because that was the support in here. That was the resistance in here. If it can have a clear break above it, find a way to support within this area for a decent time, that is super strong setup if you see that. Where later on, after we're coming back up here, it supports and congests within, say, like 2250 something up to about, well, even like 2300. If it were to do that for like on the 15-minute chart, which the ones we're looking at, even close to the amount of like an hour or 4 periods, that's a very strong setup. And just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, although you probably already do, whether the bottom is now here, even down here, the whole point is if it's able to get up to this level, say, maybe do something like this, and then go like that. Something in that nature there. And doing such, what would the 18 average do along the way? Well, in here you'd start to get a little bit of the flattening out, start to really start to come up and start like a rising pattern. And especially if, say, in here somehow either this came down to this or the 18 average was rising a bit higher, and you end up seeing, like, say, like around 3 or 4 periods in this area after a move like this, which would coincide because of this and because of everything in here. It'd be just a really good setup. But let the time do what it does. I know if it breaks down below here, we got empty space, and I'm going to be looking at a 61.8% correction if it fails and has to break below this level of support. Although I won't be looking for it. If I was to look, and that's where I would be. And I mean, I can just usually eyeball the approximate level where it would be. As long as this is a pure log chart, and I think it is. So now let's take a look at what it all means on the daily. Okay. We were in a bear market with significant days. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I counted 13, but we'll say about 2 weeks all below the 18 lows. And in today's day, it managed to get to the highs. That's where it resisted. That's enough for the 18 average of highs to start to flatten out. It's going to have to hold, and for tomorrow, it's going to have to hold and stay above where the 18 lows is at 21.39 for it to even flatten out. But if it does that into tomorrow, this will remain declining going into tomorrow. So it'll even be at like, yeah. So as long as it can hold and stay above it, that will be the next step. But by doing so within that, that at least it stops the decline from the March end of the March highs, and then it's neutral. But what's going to happen is support's going to be established and resistance will be. Right now, it has already a bit. 2000, the psychological number, twice during this moment and once in here. Resistance has been established a little bit at 2274. It pierced above it, but didn't stay above it. So that's another hit within that level. It still could, of course, rise from it. But if it does so, that means we had a move that was a nice one piercing above it. Its pullback that we seen was light, thus it didn't break that key support. And if it can have momentum going forward, well, now we're talking about, okay, well, going to the 18 highs was just neutralizing the situation. If it can significantly break above that, get to this area of key support around 2500 and change. Well, now you're talking about establishing that new level, reversing, resuming, all that type of stuff within the trend, and the 18 average starting its reversal and how big a higher low correction happens to be after making a move of that nature. In concluding this chart within Le Weekly is an interesting pattern. Nice little choppy moves, volatile moves before, or volatile up and down moves. Just magnificent. Whether it's choppy, I don't know. Not really. Sort of. Because is this clearly up or down? It's really an up move from the start that has held on to the gains. Is this a proper log scale? Well, 5 to 20,000 is a 4x. And 20 to 80,000, which is a much larger difference, is another 4x. So no, it's an improper logarithmic scale. So even though it looked like it's replaced 70%. Well, let's just see, because I haven't checked these numbers. What's the low? 6,007. Let's insert some Fibonacci. The black screen's going to come up. There we have it. And see what the key numbers are. And let's locate the high. That's right in here. I see 106.8. So that's the number that I go with. Mathematical calculation is that number divided by 607 to the root of 1.618, multiply the low of 6,007. Well, that gets me the up target of 632. But up to the root of 0.382 and the root of 618. Why was I thinking of the up target? I don't know. Maybe that's where it's going to go if it breaks it. Probably not. Maybe so. I don't know. But 38.2, 61.8. I knew all the mathematical numbers here. Let's take a look at 35.5 at 18. And we'll put them in the general area, which is right in there, which obviously was a little bit of support in here. And then the 18 handle, which is a pierce below 20. Well, it pierced below the 18 handle, which, like I state on my videos oftentimes, they usually do. And from this high, I mean, I didn't draw the extensions out, but if I draw it this way, we can see from this, we came down, found support, came back to previous high with a pierce below. And then this one, which supported in here, came up, then supported again. And the last move that it's had was at an area of the resistance. So whenever you have a big down move, I have to expect, okay, there's a good chance, bullishly or bearishly, it's going to go there. So on a bearish level, what's going to happen is it's already hit that level, and maybe it'll have another test of it again, but then this move here would ultimately fail. And if you see weakness here above it, that's bad news because the potential of breaking down below the support becomes big, thus testing previous low areas and probably breaking down below 10,000. That's the bearish case on the scenario. Support, of course, was massive here since the July lows last year. It remained there all the way until it broke out in February of this year, so more than a half of a year. that it just remained in there with this little nice small failed breakdown, which did not bring. Oftentimes, failed moves will bring fast moves in the opposite direction. I say that a lot. That was one of my teachers, or another, like myself, as I do these videos. Brian Shannon says that a lot. It had a good move, and it wasn't slow, but it wasn't fast. So because it had a failed move, I'd be expecting a move like to the Fibonacci, but it took a long time. Got up here, came back down, 5 pause periods. Then it had a good move, but it wasn't quite good enough. And then it paused that, not quite good enough for 2 periods. Then it hit it, and then of course it's been down. But because if it finds support at this newly rising 18, then that means getting out above here. You're seeing this at 29,000, 30, then I'm liking the probability odds that this thing would be raring to go for spectacular moves, especially like I've stated again in a possible scenario. Say this thing comes up to 29 in a week, and then it pulls back maybe to wherever the 18 lows is, and then it stays and holds above 25 for about a month straight, but just stays also below the 30, even if it's like, even especially if it stays below 29 change. Well, you'd be seeing a lot of strength on the 18 in a spot like that. I mean, I don't know what the story's going to be like, but I'm just going to. I think there's a good chance this is going to do well, which is why I'm holding it and trading it. And then whatever the market does, it does. And I'll just follow through by, of course, having buy orders and sell orders. And what was interesting, and I'm going to be interested to see tomorrow anyway, as earlier today I had a session with a friend, a training session, training session, I guess you would call that. I don't know how you put it together. Uh, to become a master trader, if you will. I'm not going to say master trader, but it's again a system that I like, in which it's really a lazy one and really simple. Really, any advanced work you can put in, of course, can make things easier or more profitable. But just the whole basis on it, so it worked out well. And of course, I get some interesting phone calls as I'm doing it, including a friend who was one from the high school days, early college days, and even the early post college days as well. And of course, he moved to different locations and he's back visiting for the week. So he mentioned, I'm going to stop by tomorrow. And just one of the things I mentioned, I say, I really can't talk now. I really want to, so I'll give you a call back later on in the day, kind of thing. So he asked a little bit about it, and I was just mentioning how it's like a trading strategy platform that really is simple for almost anyone to do. And so much so that if you actually want to, once you get started and you're going, once you want to do something in the trading game, uh, there's nothing to do. Uh, no. Okay. Oh, what's this market at? Like, say, Komodo. Like, for me. Okay. What was there based on how my market was? Okay, I'm trading this against Dash, I think. No, I'm trading Dash against Theta. Litecoin. I'm trading it against Litecoin. And this move, I needed this to go up to about 25 or so to sell. So it's not quite there. I mean, it's close. If this does another 10% move higher, but all you do is you check. Oh, divide one by the other. Okay, this is the ratio. So for myself, at least earlier on in the day, the ratio is 66.2, Komodo and Litecoin. And I need that to go a lot higher. Excuse me, scratch that. Lower, lower, lower. I was just thinking when I said it. No, it should be lower. This is a smaller coin, and I know I got my math numbers mixed up in my head when I was looking at it. So therefore, April 3rd, I bought when the ratio of Komodo to Litecoin was 71. It's 66 now, and I'm not going to sell Komodo unless it goes below 59. So that's all it is. Is okay, the number says it's 66. Don't trade until it's below 59. Okay, we'll keep an eye on it. I mean, it's having a good day, but it still needs a 10% gain. And I want the best number that I can. Even though it's below 59, I'd rather it be 56, 55, 54, because the lower the better. Because the higher the volatile moves, the more profits it is. And that's what a lot of it is. It's just a simple game. But I'm going to be curious to see just an average person who really not only has any real experience or knowledge of that of Bitcoin too much, although I've talked to him past the past in it before a little bit, but doesn't have much of a history as far as any type of traditional trading, or at least finding different ways of making money in this world, and through that of sales. So an average everyday salesman now. And not an average one, a really good one. But you know what I mean by saying an average person of a good salesman. That's the best way of putting it. So I'll be curious to see what he thinks about it because I got it set where I can show pretty interesting things on here in about 20 minutes. And I'll let you know. But again, no videos in the afternoon. Well, in the afternoon probably. So the morning there'll be some, and probably again in the evening, like was the case for tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.